What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Nemo Propaganda here, and today I want to talk about a topic that I think is very, very, very important, especially for those of you that are in the market to make a purchase, right? I get a ton of questions, right? Whether it's speakers, subwoofers, amps, DACs, where someone's got a certain budget and they're looking for the best product in and around that price category. And I just can't help but feel that is the wrong way to look at the topic. I think it's much more important to ask the question, what sound am I going to like? Which product in my price category has the sound signature I'm looking for? What I've got in front of me is two speakers, and I'm going to use these two speakers to illustrate what I mean by that. In orange, we have the Zoom Method. It's $1,398 for the pair. Phenomenal speaker. I love it quite a lot. And in white, we have the Buchardt S400 MK2 coming in at just under $2,500 for the pair. You guys know the Buchardt S400 MK2 is one of my favorite speakers of all time. I love both of these speakers a lot, but their sounds are very, very different, right? So look, technically the Buchardt S400 MK2 is going to perform on a higher level. It's $1,000 more money. That's what we would expect. It's going to have much more powerful bass. It's going to have a thicker mid-range. It's going to have a treble that is going to be just a little bit more detailed and resolute, right? So if we're just talking about like technical excellence, technical capability, which one performs on the higher level, right? Well, it is the one that's $1,000 more, right? But if someone was between these two speakers, I would not right away tell them, go ahead and buy the more expensive Buchardt S400 MK2. Because sometimes it happens. I get guys that are like, I can spend up to like $2,500, but I wouldn't mind being closer to like $1,500, right? So I wouldn't just right away say go for the more expensive one, because the two speakers are really different and they're really for different people in a lot of ways, right? So let me tell you why some people might, I already told you why some people might like the Buchardt S400 MK2, right? More powerful bass, right? More resolute in the treble region, more fuller, thicker mid-range, right? You like that type of sound, you're going to love the S400 MK2. Let's say, though, conversely, you're like, hey, I want a sound that's just a little bit relaxed in the treble. Not super relaxed, just a little, you know? But what I'm more focused on is the mid-range. I want my mid-range to be a little bit warm, not too much, though, just a little bit. And I want it to sound really natural, man, and just like really effortless. I like a really effortless sound. I like bass that is more about mid-bass articulation and note-to-note distinction. I don't need a really thick bass sound and a really full sound. I like bass that is just more quick, more agile, more light, again, with a really good mid-bass resolution, right? Well, that's the Zoom Method, right? The two speakers are very, very different. And if you want the Zoom Method sound and you spend $1,000 or even $2,000 more and get a speaker that's technically better, you're going to be disappointed. And likewise, if you want the Buchardt S400 MK2 sound, and let's say, you know, you spend $2,000-$3,000 more and get something like, Radiant Acoustic Clarity 6.2, right? But you wanted warmth. You wanted a lot of warmth. Well, the Radiant Acoustic Clarity 6.2 is not a very warm mid-range. So spending more, getting the technically better product, because let's be honest, the Radiant Acoustic Clarity 6.2 is technically more capable than the Buchardt S400 MK2. It is the technically better speaker. But if it's not in line with your taste, it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter. So when you're in the market, you want to try to nail down your taste. How are you going to do that? Well, if you're older, you should kind of already know your taste because you've probably owned 5, 6, or more pairs of speakers by now. But if you're on the younger side, or you're someone that's just owned a set of speakers for a really long time, go visit your local dealer. Go visit your local dealer. Assuming they're probably going to have a few options in your price range that you're interested in. And you can kind of have a listen. You can kind of see what you're into. And talk to people, right? Join my free Discord, chat with the guys in there. Tell them, hey, I'm trying to find my taste, right? And we'll ask you questions and we'll try to help you with that, right? There's a ton of things you could do to try to understand your own taste. And the reality is, most likely, I think most people know their own taste. They're not perhaps very good at articulating it. And I think by speaking more with fellow audiophiles, you'll get better at that. That's why I'm saying just hop in my free Discord, chat with some people, and that should help you. But again, I love these two speakers so much. I really do, but they are just so different. Again, the Zoom Method, another thing where the Zoom Method is really different is the Method is a really high sensitivity speaker. I believe it's 94 or 95 dB sensitive, where the S400 Mark II, I think, is like 86 or 87 dB sensitive. That is just worlds apart, right? What that means is, despite the fact that the S400 Mark II is the better speaker, if you told me, hey, the only thing I care about, the only aspect of sound I care about is how effortless the speaker sounds, the higher sensitivity speaker, generally speaking, is almost always going to be the more effortless sound, guys. It's just kind of how it works, right? But conversely, if you were like, hey, I love everything you've said about the Zoom Method, but like, I want a speaker with really thick, juicy, powerful, confident bass, well, that's going to be the Buchardt S400 Mark II then, right? So again, it's not always about what's technically better or more capable, what performs on a higher level, or what is the best. It's what's going to sound the best to you. It has to fit your taste. Guys, I can take someone to one of the most expensive restaurants in the world, maybe take you to an Italian restaurant, right? Say place $200-300 a plate. If you don't like Italian food, you might think McDonald's is better, right? And that's happened to me, guys. I've had friends take me to restaurants that are like really high end, really nice, for like my birthday or to celebrate something, whatever. And it's just not the food I like, So they're like, how was it? What did you think? And I'm like, oh, it was cool, Okay, it just wasn't my taste, right? I would take, personally, this is just me personally. Some of you guys might think I'm crazy. I would take a bowl of pho for like, bowl of pho has gotten expensive these days. They used to be like $7-8. Now they're like almost $20. I would take a bowl of pho or a really good burger over expensive Italian food for sure, over expensive seafood for sure, unless we're talking sushi. That's another story, right? So look, I think you guys got my point. I don't think I need to ramble on too much more. Both of these speakers are phenomenal. One is $1,000 more expensive and technically the more capable. But if it's not your personal taste, right, it's just not going to make sense. And, the Buchardt S400 Mark II has been my daily driver for years. And people are like, is it that good? People ask me that a lot because I love the S400 so much. And I always tell them, I'm like, well, it suits my personal taste. Right? For someone else, it might be the KEF R3 Meta that suits their personal taste. It might be the Totem Bison. There are so many speakers in every price category, right? And I own speakers that are much more expensive than both of these. But these are actually the two speakers that I enjoy listening to the most, believe it or not, out of everything I own. So look, if you got any questions, holler. Link to my free Discord is in the description for all my reviews, guys. Please, please, please check it out. If you are looking for more comparisons to products, I really prefer you guys ask those for those additional comparisons in the free Discord. I've said it in a few videos now, but I think people are forgetting. The YouTube notification system doesn't work for me. The notification system is supposed to alert me when someone replies to a comment. It's supposed to send me an email and show a notification in the app, and it doesn't do that. So the only way I can find your guys' comment replies, like say you ask me a question and then I ask you a question back and you answer that, to find that, I have to like dig through every single comment, guys. It's way too much work. I can't do it. So please use the free Discord for more efficient and effective communication for me, because you're only talking to one person when you ask me a question. I'm usually talking to a few hundred people, right? So anyways, guys, that's my point on performance versus preference. Choose the product that has that's going to suit your preference. That's what's going to put a smile on your face, not necessarily the speaker that is the class leader, right? Because look, if I'm being honest, right, I love the Buchardt S400 Mark II, but if someone asks me, what's the technically most capable speaker in and around that price? Philharmonic BMR. Yeah, the Philharmonic BMR is technically better. I think it is technically better. Absolutely. Absolutely. But as far as Nemo's personal taste, it's the S400 Mark II. You get what I'm saying? All right, I've rambled on enough. Until next time, guys, take care.